Recording live from Glory Hole Studios in Chicago and beyond. This is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. This is episode fill in the blank, Ian. 641. 642 is what I also was going to say. We are joined by two dads that I happen to know.
Couple of dads. Couple of dads. We thought
this is the Dad Bod show today.
We thought, yeah. I mean, we all have dad bods.
We've all got it rocking.
Some of us didn't have to pay the price of having a child to do that.
Or were you preparing?
I would no.
The Dad Bod is free. I'll tell you what, because nobody would pay for it.
It's actually the stock model. You got to pay for the upgrades. That's for sure.
It is a stocky model. You're not wrong.
I want to thank you guys for coming today. So we have on the show the Dear Old Dads podcast, which is Tom, and Eli. You guys have a brand new show called Dear Old Dads, and we're going to talk about this new podcast. I want to start out by asking you, why did you have kids? What would be the reason to even have kids, first of all? And then we could get into the whole podcast thing afterwards.
The show's not even happening now. This was just Cecil. I just need to know, why did you do it?
It wouldn't be the whole audience, but a part of our audience would love if you just picked up your camera and walked around your house pointing at nice things. See?
Look how clean it is.
I'm going to break it and buy a new one. Blah.
This has no crayons on it.
Yeah.
Do you see? No crayon stains.
I will tell you that I've noticed a lack of sticky things in Cecil's house for 25 years. I don't know where he puts that stuff, but I will say the general
we don't want
vibe.
people in that room.
To be fair, everything in my house was sticky before.
You had a pug. Everything had like a thin layer of slob around it already.
We recently moved, and when we got a new house, within a week, there's stickers on every wall, crayon. One of them, Arlo, I can't remember if it was Arlo or Phoebe, went up the stairs and just drew on the wall on the way up the stairs.
Oh my God, I hate that so much.
Nice. That's the good stuff.
Yep.
That's the good stuff.
There's an amazing parenting moment where for 2 seconds, when a friend who doesn't have kids walks into your house, it's just 2 seconds. You have 2 seconds of clarity at what a piece of shit your house has become. You just look from them because you start to go into the old social function of like, oh yeah, take off your shoes, and then you realize that if they take off their shoes, they'll go into the pile of bananas my son has been stepping in. So it's like, no, you know what? Keep your shoes on and try to avoid the open.
In my house, same rule as a public restroom. Keep your shoes on for your safety.
It's so funny because there's a couple that Tom and I are very close with, and they had a kid about 4 or 5 years ago. Their little daughter. She's the sweetest little thing, but it's so funny. You go to their house now. When you went over to their house before, like this is a couple that we had traveled with, like all over the world. Like they didn't have kids until they were much later into their marriage and into their lives. And they have a kid now, and you walk over, and the entire house, you cannot fit another toy in that house.
Nope.
Like you literally, I don't care what you do. You could like Tom and Jerry, put your back against the toy to try to push it in, and it's impossible.
It is embarrassing.
Every surface is covered with a different toy. There's toys everywhere. It is absolute chaos in their house in comparison to like 4 years ago.
You know that Great Pacific garbage patch? That's my house with toys. It's just we literally clean up by, I'll get a bin, just like get any, like a wheelbarrow, anything, just any, like a fucking oil drum.
A bin and a power washer.
And we just throw stuff in there, just throw it all in there. And then you know what we do? Because we're trying to get ready, like, as you say, to have somebody over or something. We do all that. We go upstairs to their little playroom and I dump it. I dump it, and then I go back down like I'm bailing water out of a boat.
Close the door.
Pile of toys, dump in their playroom. Pile of toys, dump. It's embarrassing. I'm so embarrassed by it.
Thank you both for validating what I had to say.
And there's always like, underneath it is always like the cream half of an Oreo just face up covered in fucking hair.
See, you guys have young kids though. Like we're at a place with our kids where they're older, where there's parts of the house they're just not allowed in because I like that part of the house too much. Like they're
That's
just like
the studio for me.
Yeah, like when there's not allowed in the basement. Like the kids cannot go in the basement. They used to be actually their playroom. We gave them the basement. They trashed it, and we're like, all right, if you do it again, you'll lose basement. And like it's a nice finished basement. And they trashed it again, and it was like, all right, all your shit's gone. All your shit goes away. The basement's mine. They're not allowed in the basement. That's my space now.
I love it.
You can't go down there. They have to ask me. I'll get a text message from my kid. Can I go in the basement to get something? Like, no, because you lost basement privileges.
Never will see that
for
thing again.
Years. It's been
over.
years.
That's an impressive alibi, Tom. That's an impressive alibi. I think a lot of people will believe that.
Yeah.
He says that to the police too when
they don't go in the basement.
It's too messy.
They lost basement privilege.
To be fair, they messed it up when you let that when they caught and the pit.
It was a chalk outline. They drew chalk all over it.
Okay, so no, but seriously,
Sean?
you guys decided to start a podcast. What's the podcast about and why did you decide to start it? I don't know. I'll pick Thomas.
The podcast, Dear Old Dads. We've said it before. I think everybody had this idea independently, but Tom was the one who finally like got us all together. And what was funny is we all three had a different kind of idea of like, in the back of our heads, like, I want to do some sort of parenting podcast. And then we all three had to like combine that together into a show that is kind of a blending of those three ideas. And it's super cool because I don't think the show is exactly what any one of us pictured. But it's a great like mix of what we wanted. And I love it. It is just so much fun to record. It's absolute joy because, there are people who like kids, Cecil. It's hard to, we could try to explain it, but 2
out of 3 of the hosts of Dear Old Dads.
Sounds awful. Genuinely terrible.
And we tackle, lots of cool topics. Go ahead. I let the silence go.
I mute Thomas.
You let it go. You let it go. I was going to jump in there. You let it go. I wanted to talk though, like when you guys do this, I was thinking about it earlier. Our show, and to extent every one of our shows has this sort of feeling like it's.
Thank you for saying it out loud.
Every one of our shows essentially has an implicit set of ethics that it follows, right? So we all sort of implicitly tell people what our ethics are based on news stories or movies we watched or, working our way through legal arguments. There's all this ethics stuff that we sort of bring out implicitly. But this is a moment for you guys to explicitly talk about not just your ethics, but your advice about how to instill those ethics on a child. I'm going to ask Tom this. Tom, does it make you more vulnerable? And is it a more vulnerable process than what we do on this show?
I think for me, it absolutely is. Yeah, I think it's something that I've been finding out and discovering as we go through the show is that there's no way to talk about your family and there's no way to talk about your deeply held personal values in a way that has really any fair distance. You really face 2 choices. You can either self-censor by omission and say like, all right, that I'm going to just exclude this topic, or I'm just going to like tell a half of the story. And there's some of that you do because like some shit about the kids is private. My kids are older. They have a right to some privacy.
Sure.
They're not like babies at this point. So there's some of that, but like all of this is like, hey, like here's not just what I think about something, but here's how I feel. And that is an inherently more vulnerable process. And it is absolutely a more vulnerable show. And you just have to decide, I guess, I just have to be all right with that. Yeah. Like, here it is. Like, come at me, I guess, if you don't like it. So
what about you guys?
It's been interesting.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because the other thing is like, it's not just like how you deeply feel about a thing with no reservations and barely jokes to cover it up. It's also what you're going to do afterwards, right? If I review a movie and I'm like, Tom Hanks looks like a hat board made out of wow, and someone's like, I didn't enjoy that metaphor. I'm like, that's fine. You're not real. But that's just how I raise my boy So when someone's like, actually, I disagree with how you raised your boy, I'm like, I would murder you for him. So you have to, if you can't adjust, it's very hard to adjust.
Yeah.
The parasocial
true,
content doesn't work super.
I bet. Thomas, you feel the same way?
I think I'm a little different just because my shows have always been a little different. You know, I don't do anything scripted. It's never been, like Eli's other shows and I think, Citation needed to a certain extent and other shows you guys do are pretty scripted. I think I've just always not really had a filter. I think everybody knows this about me. And so I don't know. I've always been kind of out there just willing to just say whatever and talk about what's going on and my, most intimate feelings about things. And, so it's not that much of a change for me, but I will say, I think one good thing about the show is there's not a whole lot of us saying like, hey, don't do this, except for like hitting your kids. That's obviously we're like, hey, don't fucking hit your kid.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is just us talking about, a lot of it is just us talking about like, here's what I'm doing. And then the other two guys being like, yeah, here's what I'm doing. And we're just kind of talking it through. It's not preachy, it's just like, we're trying to work through a lot of things ourselves and people can take what they want from it, or they can dish advice to us, which they do a lot of the time. It's really fun. I think a lot of the comments we've seen is just people. For one, apparently there's no parenting podcasts where that are explicit.
None.
We're finally bringing.
We're the only one.
The parenting world.
We're it.
We're gonna fucking. No, that's that. We gotta find a better way to say it. We're bringing children and fucking together. No, that's not. We'll work on it.
I did a bunch of those jokes between like 2016 and 2018, and they did not go.
He's on a list now, so he doesn't want to talk about it.
This is why he's got to take a fucking Amtrak to get anywhere.
He's actually upstairs. I can hear him. Look how fucking.
All right, I got a question. Eli, of the three of you, who's the worst dad?
The worst dad?
Who's the worst dad?
Well, yeah, can we do that?
No. It's the three of you guys. Who's the three?
It's definitely me, right? There's something we're missing. No, here's the thing. Tom is telling us everything. Thomas is telling us everything. But we'll be 3 years into the show and I'll be like, what do you mean they need milk? Like ever? Hey, you guys just hold your babies up in the shower like this and just sort of wait for them to pass out, and that's how you do the bathing thing. Like I am, as we horrifically discover moment to moment, I am basically an infant myself, just lost and alone. Pre-recording this podcast, I was asking Thomas to tell me whether or not business expenses just got paid back to you by the government. Like if they were just like, well, you bought 400 pencils, so here's $400 worth of pencils. Like I had no idea whether or not that was the case. So in the long term, when we zoom out, we'll realize like, oh yeah, but you know what? It turned out Eli's heart was in it, but he was using microphone covers for diapers for 3 years. So I think we can all agree it's not an A for effort.
Thomas, who's the worst dad of the three of you?
Eli.
This is great.
Eli. That's fair.
Real.
I don't know what it's.
Everybody's going to pick themselves and it's going to be lame. That's all I'm
part
saying.
Of the show. No, I pick it firmly.
Fight each other.
But
that's what I'm doing here.
I think
we all choose the reason I'm the worst. I'll go to the bad for that.
Everybody choose a different reason. Have you seen what he dresses as? No, I don't. Yeah, I think that's impossible to say. And one of the fun things about the show is we have all these plans for like what I'm going to do to help my kids do whatever. And then you see your kids and you're just like, I don't know how the fuck any of that happened. Like, we'll see what happens. I think you have to like take the long view. So, the first one of our kids that, I don't know, murders somebody, we'll say like, that's the worst dad. We'll just say, we'll say to be continued.
Because every parenting group has the unignorable failure, right? If every group of parent friends, right? Eventually, as the kids
you can't
grow,
say anything.
No one says anything, but then twim twam, you're just like, hey guys, we can't we can't use the pool anymore because Twim Twam just runs right over and shits directly into it. And you just make all these adjustments. We're doing this in podcast form. Episode 400, we're going to be like, yeah, so Max was a bird again this week, and I don't know where he got all those knives, but he cut himself some feathers and went right off the roof. How's TB's doctorate going? I hear she's really struggling getting after the masters, because I know that's tough.
All right, Tom. Worst dad.
I don't know. Like, I feel, and I know this is what you said, but like, I do feel like in a lot of ways, it's me. I'm the only one who's like, yeah, I kind of don't like doing this sometimes. Like these guys have like kids are like little and like they're like still in this honeymoon phase.
Hold on. Are little kids better though?
No,
they're so great.
No,
They're so great.
No,
Immediately he was like, no, they're not better.
They're not.
No,
They're
they're
not
so
better.
great.
No,
They're literally the
no,
worst.
absolutely
They're so
not.
great, though.
But your first kid is way different than your second kid. Because like your first
What
kid,
about
we
your
talk,
35th or whatever you're
but
on.
like I don't know,
Yeah.
but like at this point, I'm just like, fuck, I don't want to even learn their names. Like I just want to point at one of them and be like, pick up something.
I'm just gonna put a
like I don't even
revolving
care what it
door
is. Just
Yeah.
pick up
It's
something.
amazing.
Oh,
It's
I mean, to be
amazing.
fair to Tom, we chose to have all our children. Tom got Brady bunched. Right? Like, you talk about,
Here's the
I picked up some
story.
STIs in my day, but none of them were 16-year-olds.
Oh, man.
Well, you asked earlier, like how, why did you become dad? I was be like, I'm fucking irresponsible. That's like, like these guys are like, oh, I like planned for
planned
this
it
and that.
out.
I'm just like,
It's true.
I don't know. Like,
It
if I
felt too
didn't,
good in there.
I became a dad because I did not become a dad.
Yeah.
Like, like, so
Whoopsie.
it's like that. I mean, I love the kids, but oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah. I love all my accidents. So I want to ask,
Tom wanted to name
When
the
you guys
second one
look
Rhythm
at-
Method. They wouldn't let him.
you guys look at like movies. When you think about movies, like the broad spectrum movies, is there a dad that you look at in the movies and you think that's a good dad, or that's a dad I would strive to be? Is there any
Well, that's a-
hero dads in the movies that you look at? And I even have an answer for this one, and I'll go last, but I'm going to start with whoever's ready. So whoever wants to go, is there a hero dad that you would say, that's my guy? I would like to be that dad. Go ahead, Tom. I know you have a
Like, I'm such a
Mommy
shithead though.
Dearest.
Like,
Hold on.
TV's
No,
Bill
like,
Cosby.
The ultimate
like
dad.
I don't have a good answer. Like, but I was like,
These kids go right to
I was
sleep,
laughing
man.
because I was like, well, Mr. Incredible was fat and he got in shape. So like, I want to do that.
Sure.
I really, well, that's the thing about dad portrayal is you don't get a lot of good ones.
It's
The
so
comedy
bad.
is the bumbling idiot who can't do anything, or
Right.
up into like last year, even if you tried to portray a good dad, it was like unknowingly and unwittingly sexist and terrible, until like 10 years ago. So there's not a lot to choose from, but I think Eli is signaling he might have the answer.
I thought of one, and it's the perfect answer. Mel
Okay.
Gibson from The Patriot.
Oh my
Oh, I
God.
haven't
didn't even
seen it.
see
What does he
that
do?
movie.
Yeah.
He like
just
murders somebody.
Someone kills his son, and he kills everyone.
Kills
Oh,
everybody.
okay, that's fair.
Liam
Yeah.
Neeson from Taken.
Exactly. Yeah.
Liam Neeson
Liam
from Taken's a
Neeson from
great
Taken.
dad.
There we go.
Liam Neeson from
Liam
Taken.
Neeson from
There you
Perfect
go.
dad.
Yeah. Like,
Here's-
yeah.
Here's who I was thinking of. The dad from Juno. Who like his daughter's pregnant and
Oh,
he's
that's a
like
great
like,
answer.
really sweet
Yeah.
That's
about
a
it and
great
like
answer.
helps the kid out and like takes her to the ultrasound and like does all that work and stuff and like understands and doesn't get all
all judgy and
judgy.
All
Just
right,
like
yeah, but guys, bring it in.
Mel
If your
Gibson.
teenage daughter gives birth to the kid she gets knocked up with, you're not a great dad. All right. That kitchen table talk needs to be 20 minutes longer and needs to end at Planned Parenthood. You know what I'm saying? Ukulele
She did
music
go to
or
Planned
no, get that
Parenthood.
thing the fuck out of you.
She went
You
to
can't
Planned
vote in
Parenthood
the
and she was
state
swayed by a
election.
sign.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I watched that movie because, I don't know. But does he
Yeah.
really just not get an abortion because of a sign?
She doesn't. Yeah, she like changes her
man.
mind or whatever.
Yeah.
But she gives it up for adoption and all the people that are like pro-life can love it or whatever. But I just remember seeing the movie. I'm not yes or no on the movie, I don't care. But I just remember the dad's portrayal.
The dad was
Yeah.
a good dad.
Felt like a good
Yeah.
dad.
The dad was
totally.
legit. That's
Totally.
a good answer.
Yeah.
That is better than Mr. Incredible.
Mr. Incredible
Also,
was pretty good. I like
Marlon
the Patriot
Brando
answer.
in The Godfather.
Yes.
You know,
that orange bit, it's a solid bit.
fantastic. Look how
is
they
a solid
massacred
bit.
my boy. You know, you know,
There's
Yeah,
so many
that's-
bad dads.
There really
crime
is a lot of
boss. You know, just
There's
yeah.
a lot of bad dads, though, when you
Yeah.
think about it. You're absolutely right, Thomas, that they're depicted as bumbling. The other thing too is, you know, and I don't want to talk about like how bad guys have it, but genuinely, you know, stay-at-home dads have an uphill battle too. Like that's a difficult thing too, because they like I know several of them that say like they're sort of like treated like glorified babysitters rather than actual fathers. And I think that probably bleeds over to fathers as well. But, you know, we got the patriarchy on our side, so we could take a little hit once in a while.
Yeah.
No big deal, you know.
Yeah. The other side of that coin, though, is like, it's so easy culturally to be a good dad. The bar is so low.
Oh, yeah.
Like
yeah.
the bar to be a good mom is actually so high, nobody's ever crossed it ever. Because like everybody
Do you guys
makes
have
it
any-
impossible.
Do you guys have any single friends who are on like Tinder or whatever? And they talk about the guys, like girls, and they talk about the guys, how they act there. And you're like, the bar is so low. I asked a friend of
So
mine who's
low.
single. Yeah. I was like, what is it? I just asked her for fun. I was like, what is, you know, what's a good Tinder message when someone's trying to like hit on you? And she's like, oh, well, for one, it doesn't have a penis. So that's, you know, to eliminate half of them.
Jesus.
No penis in it. And then they have to say like hi and incorporate like a single thing in my profile to their message.
Anything about me.
It's like you have to get an F plus on a school assignment to be a good dude on a dating app. It's similar with dads. Like it's not a high bar. It's not a high bar currently.
No, you get an irresponsible amount of points for like taking a kid to the grocery store. Like you take a kid to the grocery store and like the kid doesn't smell weird and like you accomplish grocery shopping.
Yeah.
And it's like, and like people around you will look at you like you fucking created cold fusion out of Fig Newtons. It's fucking outrageous. You did nothing. You did literally nothing.
People ascribe beautiful tragedy to you, right? You're walking through the store, they're like, I bet she died in a
Car
mining
accident,
accident. And oh, she
I
got
just
eaten
go with
by
it.
the T-Rex and he tried to hold the doors for her, but he couldn't. And then my wife's walking through the grocery store and they're like, if this fucking woman doesn't move out of my way so I can get to the Oreos in the next 3 seconds, I'm going to shoot her with an air t-shirt gun.
So true.
It is.
Oh, I do catch myself being embarrassingly impressed with stuff, and I shouldn't be, where I'm like, man, I fed the kids and I did this. I'm like, oh, that was just super basic. I really should not be impressed. But I fed my children food and they went to bed. That's really not too much
really
The
to be
expectations
low bar.
for men is so low that they made a whole movie that was called 3 Men and a Baby, which was just, will they kill it? That was the point of the movie. You couldn't make 3 women and a baby.
Will they kill
They're
it?
just passing it back and forth, shaking the shit out of it. They're
Except
like, no,
my
you take
God.
it.
It was
Yeah.
a concept of a blockbuster. Are they going to kill this fucking baby? Probably. There's 3 of them.
Maybe.
3 times the chance to kill a baby.
We don't know how we're going to fill the third act of the movie, but I mean,
If they
We're
made
gonna
3
fill a
women
small
and a
coffin,
baby,
though. That's
they
for
would rename it 2 women, too many, and a baby.
Yeah.
All right. When are you guys stopping? Like, when is it done? When are you just finished having kids? Like, how many kids is too many kids?
5 ago. I have 4.
How many do you have? Thomas, your wife just announced. How many will you have soon?
3.
3.
In December, it'll be our 3rd, and then I'm getting the balls chopped off procedure.
Look at his lying eyes.
Third
Look
it
at his
is.
lying eyes.
Third
I can see it already. I can see it. This is going to be a 7-kid family.
I'm going to show you the paperwork,
8
my friend.
is enough.
No,
8
you
is enough.
You better live stream your vasectomy or I'm not going to
Yeah.
believe it. That's got to be a patron
I'll
special.
tell you what, a lot of people want to see your balls, Thomas. So I think it would be a big hit. Big
That's
hit.
true.
Specifically the balls. And then a lot of people out there like,
Specifically.
wanna- I wanna
I
see-
get so many messages.
But you
So
should
many
do it on that
messages.
thing that you were
show
streaming
some
through.
sack.
You should do that thing on that you
Make it
were
look
streaming
like
through
a
on
face
OA, though.
again. Scrunch it up.
That wing. My vasectomy is on the 19th.
Oh, wow. So
Of
you're
this
just,
month.
that's it. You created the perfect child and you're done.
If
There's
she
no
could
reason
have
to
rolled
upgrade.
off the table and had me roll on for the vasectomy, she should have. If she could have gotten a 2-for-1 coupon, she was like, look, man, you got the scalpel out already. Get to work.
That's amazing. That's amazing. All right, guys, where can people find your show?
The internet.
Wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah, wherever you get your podcast.
Oh,
Search
no.
Dear Old Dads on podcast thingies. Yeah, what's that, Tom?
Everywhere but Stitcher.
Everywhere with
there you go.
Stitcher.
Yeah, fucking
Everywhere
but
but Stitcher.
Stitcher.
Yep. We're everywhere but Stitcher.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. Check out Dear Old Dads on all the places where you can get podcast stuff. We're going to put the link in the show notes this week. Thank you, Eli and Thomas, for coming on and telling us about your show.
Thanks for having us,
Thank you,
guys.
Cecil. Thanks so much
Thanks,
for
guys.
having us.
I was walking down the street, minding my own affairs, when two policemen grabbed me unawares. They said, "Is your name Bowser?" I said, "Why, sure." They said, "You're the guy we've been looking for." Framed. I was framed. I never done nothing wrong, but I always get framed.
Sister comes from Newsweek. This is part of a broader category
Right.
of stories.
There's a lot going on, yeah.
So before I give you the headline for this one, so the FBI, incidentally, the director of the FBI is a former Trump appointee.
Yes. Yeah, that's
right?
important to point out.
So former Trump appointee is the director of the FBI. The federal judge that signed off on the search warrant is a Trump appointee. So,
I didn't realize the federal judge was.
yeah, the federal judge has signed off on the search warrant that the
that
the
people,
FBI
that the
used.
people are saying they want to kill.
Yeah, man. So this is how crazy it is, right? So the FBI raided Trump's residence at Mar-a-Lago.
It seems like it's archival related.
Right. So when Trump left office, and there's no dispute about this, he took with him 15 boxes of materials.
Yeah.
Some of those materials he's returned because you can't just take shit. That's not your shit.
When you say return, though, Tom, do you mean that he went to them and they said, "Hey, I'm sorry, I mistakenly took these," or did
no.
they follow him to fucking Florida
Florida.
and take them back?
Yeah.
Because that's what happened.
That's what happened. And he took all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
So he took some shit he took was classified. He took also like a bunch of like gifts from fucking foreign leaders, mementos. Like none of that shit is actually yours. So like if you're the president and like I meet the prime minister of Japan and that guy gives me a fucking bowl or, a gift or some ceremonial thing, that's not Tom's because I'm that's America's. It goes in a fucking national archive. All that shit goes in the archive. Unless you're Trump, in which case he just keeps that shit and leaves.
But here's what you have to understand about a guy who comes into office with that kind of money and that kind of treatment his whole life. Is when you watch the when you watch Casino is there's a great part in Casino where a guy flies in from Japan and they give him a lot of money to play. They give him a lot of money to start out. And he gets, he makes like $1 million, then he quits, and then he takes all the linens in the hotel before he leaves, right? He thinks they're his, right? They're just like these are all gifts for me. And I think Trump has always had a life that he's led that is basically like, everyone is giving me gifts all the time. When I go to a hotel, I just take stuff and nobody charges me because I am me. And and everything is first class or whatever. And that sort of mindset to him,
That presumptive ownership
exactly.
shit.
It's presumptive ownership. That's a great way to put it. And I think that's exactly what he did was he was just like, yeah, I'm just going to take the couch.
Right, yeah.
Because it's just like, I like it.
I'm going to take this portrait of Lincoln, like whatever.
Yeah.
So he took all this shit, and then they came back and they were like, hey, man, you can't take that shit.
And please don't take
So they took back a bunch of that shit, but it turns out he still kept some shit. So this story is from Newsweek. Trump suggesting FBI planted evidence confirms his guilt, according to lawyer. Also, no shit.
Yeah.
So Trump is like, I think Trump is trying to get ahead of this story, right? Because he immediately started like not tweeting because he can't fucking tweet, but putting missives at Truth or
parlored it or whatever.
What a fucking twat.
Truth the parlor. Fucking.
He like telegram signaled his parlor truths or whatever he fucking did.
Exactly.
So like whatever evil nonsense apps that he uses for his fucking sycophantic right-wing terrorists that follow him. Like he put out a thing like, oh, the FBI broke into my shit and they even broke into my personal safe. And isn't this terrible? And now he's saying stuff like, oh, they wouldn't let, I thought this was hilarious. They wouldn't let any of my representatives or lawyers be on site while they were searching my place. So they were probably planting evidence. And that's just a way for him to deflect the fact that they're going to find fucking evidence.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, Cecil, if the FBI broke into your house, they'd find nothing.
Here's the thing. The FBI would never break into my house.
Right.
The FBI would never break into my house because they would have a search warrant to be let into my house.
Right. That's the thing. Like I thought about this. Like if the cops or the FBI break, it's like this. We've talked about this before. If somebody's like, I'm gonna put all the skeleton in your closet out on full view, I'd be like, the worst you would do is embarrass me.
I'd be embarrassed, but I wouldn't be.
Right.
I wouldn't go to jail.
Right.
But the thing is Trump is such a hypocrite because he believes this stuff too. If someone were to break into the house of one of his enemies, he would say, oh, look at them. They're trying to get it. He would be saying the exact same thing.
100%.
He also, if you'll remember, and he did this week, he also said years ago, if you plead the fifth, you're probably guilty.
Oh, yeah. He had a whole thing about it.
The fifth this week like crazy.
400 times, man.
He's like, he was brought in by the attorney general of like New York or whatever to be deposed. And he was just like, I'm not going to answer any of your questions.
Also, this is a guy who explicitly tried to weaponize the Justice Department for his own political gain.
Absolutely.
And now he's like pissing and moaning about this being a weaponized Justice Department.
And it's funny
you're like, what?
Because what you're hearing from the right, and I've been trying to pay attention to what the right's doing.
Sure.
Because this is one of those things that like, I don't think a lot is going to come from this. I know a lot of people are saying it could be the end or whatever. It's like, I don't believe that anymore.
No, I don't believe anything good anymore.
What I believe is that they found what they were looking for. He probably had some kind of classified document or something that he shouldn't have had, and they took it back. And then that's going to be it. Nobody's going to do anything about it. Nobody's going to fucking chase him down or whatever. In fact, they probably wouldn't have never even told anybody if he didn't publicize this in a big way. Nobody would have ever said anything. But instead, he made a big deal out of it because I think he thinks he's in trouble. So he wants to make a big stink because that way his followers come out and march in front of his house for hours.
And he's fundraising on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
He immediately began fundraising it. He immediately monetized it.
That's a great point, Tom. And you're right, because he immediately wants to spin it on, I got to make as much money as possible.
Right.
So there's this, I don't feel like anything's really going to happen from this at all. But I feel one thing I wanted to do was watch the right a little bit because I want to see how they're taking this. And it's not well. It's not good.
No, man.
An FBI agent or an FBI office in Ohio, a guy tried to break in today with a gun. And there's a chance it's related to this. I don't know. It happened late in the afternoon today, and he was chased down and murdered by the FBI.
Fucking hell.
But I don't know if it has anything related to this, but it certainly is uncanny timing. If someone armed is trying to break into a field office in Ohio 3 days after the former president was raided, there's been several senators who have and Congress people who have come out really upset about what happened to him. And
dude, hashtag Civil War is trending.
I mean, there's people who are like posting on multiple message boards. They dox this judge.
Yeah.
And he's getting death threats and, sending death threats to a federal judge. You're going to jail for a real long time.
That's not a thing you should do.
You're a real stupid person.
You are a genuinely
dumb person.
That's as dumb as breaking into an FBI field office.
Really, everything is what's the plan?
The
one thing it tells you though, is this is a hyper volatile situation.
Fuck yeah, man.
These people have fallen into this cult in a way that is terrifying, and they are willing to do literally anything for him. And
It's not only the fucking crazy people that have this like Trump, they have the Trump derangement syndrome. Like,
absolutely. That's a total projection.
Trump is absolutely just pouring gas on what he knows. There is no way to look at this man and say, this man actually cares about the country.
Yeah.
This man actually cares. He's like a civil, like, does anybody believe that this man is a fucking civil servant?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you believe that. What you think is he is a deposed emperor.
Yeah.
That is what you believe. You believe that you want your fucking deposed emperor to be back in power because you want to ride the coattails of that power through like some associative element, either association through your whiteness, association through your money, association in some other way.
Right.
You want your fucking deposed fucking emperor to come back from his exile on Shit Island in Mar-a-Lago to come back over, and then, we can all fucking celebrate. This guy will throw gas on the fire when you see something like trending like #Civil War. You can't care about the country.
No.
And throw gas on the fire. But this guy is gleefully pouring gas on the fire because he rakes in the dough. He's personally making enormous amounts of money.
Yeah. This is scary though, because what it says to me is we've been watching these January 6th hearings throughout the whole thing. And it's clear that Trump very much wanted to bring a bunch of people that were clearly armed down to the house, and he wanted to lead them in.
Yeah.
He very much wanted that to happen.
Yep.
And it's very clear that he wanted it to happen because it's corroborated by dozens of people.
Absolutely.
Right? Dozens of people. It's corroborated by evidence of logs. It's corroborated by phone calls. It's corroborated by, like I say, dozens of interviews.
It can't be properly disputed.
There's no way that this is just like some kind of weird manufactured thing unless they all got together and had this weird conversation like we got to throw Trump under the bus. He very much, he feels like he's guilty of a lot of things.
So much, man.
I don't know that he's going to face any charges because look at what happens just with one search warrant. Like, and I don't even think, like I said, I don't even think it's going to be a big deal for him. I think there's nothing's going to happen out of this. And look at his followers. Could you imagine if they take him into custody? What's going to happen?
I actually thought about that. I'm not sure he should be arrested. What I hope is that his reputation, because I think that there's a hardcore element of Trump loyalists who are not Republicans. They are just Trump loyalists.
Yeah.
And they kind of don't count, right? I don't think they're numerically significant enough to carry an election anymore. I think you've got to have just the average. You got to have those fucking crazies, but then you also have to have the Republicans.
Every single Republican has to be on board.
And I think that this sort of stuff is just it's another nail in that coffin. It's more tarnish on the reputation. It's more stain on the legacy. It's more, God, this guy's fucking poisonous and toxic, and like we've still got 2 more years to continue to burn that reputation with the truth.
Yeah.
That's how you burn it, is you burn it with the actual truth. There is no reasonable argument to be made that this is a deep state operative action. Like all the important power players were Trump appointees.
Yeah.
In this action.
Yeah.
All of them.
If you believe in the deep state, if you think, you're
a fucking idiot.
Probably a dumb person, but if you believe in the deep state, you have to do so many mental jumps to make this work.
Right.
Where it's not even a deep state anymore. You're like, okay, but what kind of D chess is it to appoint the same guy who's going to serve here with Search-Warrant?
Right. Yeah.
My God, how deep are we in here?
Also, isn't this a guy who's going to hire only the best people?
Yeah, I know.
They're so great. Right. You'll be tired of how great they'll be.
That's what he said. And now he hates them all and they're all,
right.
But it's funny because there's a quote from Stephanie Grisham that I was reading in one of the articles we were reading today for prepping for talking about Trump. And she basically says, like, you have to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, and he can turn on you like that. And that's the real key, is that he's such a narcissist that he doesn't give a fuck about you. You better give him extreme loyalty. You have to do everything you can, and you have to prove you're loyal day in and day out. And if he will turn on you in a second, he has no loyalty to anyone.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's the real rub. And this is a volatile situation. It's scary. Like, because we're in a time now where, and the worst part is like, there could easily be a jettisoning of Trump by the Republicans, by the right in this country. They can do the right thing. They could easily just walk right in and they could say, you know what? Mitch McConnell walks in and be like, you know what? We don't want any presidents who are getting searched by the FBI. We stand with our FBI agents because they've been a wing of the Republican Party for years. And so we stand with them. And you know what? We're back the blue and whatever. I mean, like you have like Marjorie Taylor Greene saying defund the FBI. She's selling shirts. Yeah. Defund the FBI shirts. So you have a situation now where they are so afraid of jettisoning him that they won't, but they can. There's so many opportunities, right, to do the right thing. And they will not take anyone up on these. There's only like 3 or 4 Republicans who are willing to take a stand. And then some of them are Cheneys, for Christ's sake.
Dude, what world are we living in where that's the case? Where it does seem like we are increasingly at a place where there is going to have to be a schism. And the Marjorie Taylor Greenes are fucked, right? Because I do think that the Trump world is imploding upon itself.
I hope it is, man. I hope you're right.
Sort of like maggots are all beginning to just like crumble. And I think all of that was a house of cards. None of that was ever stable. And you're just watching the whole thing implode, person after person and event after event. But the problem is you've got these fuckers that are in office that cannot extricate themselves from that world. And so they've got no choice but to keep doubling down and doubling down.
Right.
But I do think that the right-wing establishment at some point is going to say, all right, we got a problem. We got some cancer. It's got to be excised.
I hope so.
But like,
I hope so, man.
Because the MTGs can't, I can't see how like the Hawleys and the Gates and the MTGs and the Boberts, God, I don't want to even live in a world where they can be successful.
God, I don't even.
I don't know how that would work.
I will say this, though. You know, when you say that they could be successful, I was thinking about this. If Trump would have played by regular rules most of the time.
Oh, man, we'd be fucked.
You'd be fucked
We'd
right
be
now.
fucked,
You'd be
man.
fucked right now.
Yep.
He'd be the next Reagan. Guaranteed he'd be the next Reagan. Because with his attitude and playing within the rules, even all the fucking boneheaded shit he did throughout his entire presidency, if he would have played a little bit within the rules, I think, wouldn't it be an issue?
I think he just played his hand one too far. One too far.
I just don't think he can ever play clean. And this proves it, right? Like him walking out with all this shit, I think he was dirty the whole time. You know, they're talking right now, the right-wing people are talking about, oh, well, when we take power, we're going to look into Hunter's laptop. And I'm thinking, you guys had 4 years to do that under Trump.
Yeah, why are you looking at it now?
Like, if you had anything, wouldn't have Zelensky said anything when he was trying to coerce him, which is what he got impeached for in the first place.
I know.
Like, if they had anything, they would have brought something forward. They didn't have anything then.
Yeah, but I go back to the metaphor of like, what if they searched your house? Like, I don't think there's anything there.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that like all of this was smokescreen bullshit. If there was some smoking gun on Hunter's laptop, they'd have put it. They'd have found it.
Somebody found it.
Somebody would have like. There's nothing there. It's like, oh, well, you know, we're gonna look into the guys in the January 6th committee. Fucking look into them.
Yeah.
Then look into them. It's like, if you like, fine. Like, I think, you know, can you create smoke from nothing? Yeah, to some degree, of course you can, right? But it tends to go nowhere. Think about how hard they went after Hillary after Benghazi.
Yeah, no.
And they committee after committee investigation, and they never found anything significant.
I think the thing is though, that they started this back and forth, especially under Hillary, with this retaliation. It was retaliatory, right? Yeah. We're in power and we're going to make you answer to us. And then the moment the Democrats got in power, they were like, no, there's some serious shit that happened. Like, this is not, that's not normal. That's not a normal conversation. But they took it as, well, they're doing the same thing with Hillary.
Tit for tat.
So the moment we come back, we're going to do the same thing to you. And you're like, no, but we're like, it's not retaliatory. They're not doing it because they fucking makes them feel better. They're doing it because there was some serious crimes and serious things happen. Like everybody, like the Mueller report even says, like, they're just too stupid to take advantage of it, but there was an attempt at collusion.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the Russians, it's so funny because people forget that about the Mueller report. Like, oh, there was nothing there. There was a lot there.
There was a lot there.
First of all, there was obstruction of justice.
Yeah.
Which was there. And then second of all, to your exact point, like the Russians absolutely meddled in that election.
And they wanted to do more.
Right.
These people were just too stupid to take advantage of it.
They're just too fucking dumb. They're
Yeah.
playing fucking
And
negative 1D
Our
chess.
side wanted to too. They were just too stupid to do
Absolutely.
it. So it's like,
How frustrating would it be to be Russian in that
I mean,
scenario?
could you imagine? You're just like, what is it? Is it fucking Mo, Larry, and Curly over
Right.
there?
I am trying here to destroy democracy. You're too stupid.
I just hold my hand up like this, and you do this, and it's nothing. It's nothing. No, but seriously, the retaliation back and forth. I think because it's such projection. Because I don't look. I don't think you should be doing this stuff because you just are bored or because you just don't like the
No.
other side. I think that every time the Democrats have brought somebody up, there's been a serious something that's happened. It's not like they're like,
man.
oh man, there might be something on a laptop, so let's look into it.
Yeah, well, also, like, I just want to be very clear on all this is an insane thing to say, but just want to make sure it goes without saying. If 10,000 people storm the fucking Capitol to try to, like, keep Biden in office, should he lose, then we should look into that.
Should absolutely look into that.
Like, we should
for sure.
fucking burn
For sure.
everything down
Yeah,
to look
for
into
sure.
that.
For
Like,
sure.
this isn't like a partisan thing. I think, like, if people smash fucking windows open with flagpoles and a human meat pours in to the windows like a fucking waterfall of insanity, then we should probably look into that. Because who doesn't look into that?
Yeah.
What is the solution? Just be like, I don't know. An attack on the American Capitol, let it
They seriously
go.
wanted to just let it go.
Yeah,
They seriously wanted to let it go.
They would say shit like it's time to move on.
The Republicans said that it was like January 9th.
Right.
And they're like, no, we're done talking about it.
You know,
We're done talking about
pretty
it.
much
we all
over.
got together and said, this is really bad press for us, so let's just quit talking about it.
Yeah, I
do you think?
mean, that one guy's still running away.
Ixnay on the Ixnay. Let's do this.
You know what? I don't know why people get so embarrassed when they come in here and see Miss Sylvia at the pharmacy. Shoot, ain't nothing wrong with having scrotal acne. Ow! All right, now don't forget to wash down there with really hot water. And whatever you do, don't squeeze them. Because when those things pop, Lord have mercy.
This story comes from Fox News on purpose because their coverage is shit, and I wanted to point it out. Minnesota pharmacist who denied emergency contraception wins case. We should be able to live out our beliefs. So this is exactly what it sounds like. A woman went in to get emergency contraception, and a pharmacist in Minnesota refused to provide those medicines that were prescribed, that were available, and were the medicines that she should have gotten. And she sued. She sued because that's fucking bullshit. And the courts were like, you know what's more important than women's rights? Well, first, virtually everything.
Yeah.
Because
course,
America.
Yeah, sure.
And second, religion. Somebody should be able to live out their beliefs. The way that Fox frames this is so fucking appalling. They spend all of their time sort of conveying the pharmacist's viewpoint in this article. I just think it's really telling. It's one of those things where you look at the journalism in quotes. And so I want to read it to you. Minnesota pharmacist George Bobert faced legal trouble after he refused to provide emergency contraceptive pills to a patient in 2019 because of his personal religious beliefs. Quote, I couldn't fill this prescription because one of the possible mechanisms of action of the medication is that it can prevent the implantation of a fertilized egg into the universe. Bobert told the Fox.
You said universe.
Into the universe.
I mean, that's true. It's true. It's all right. I'll allow it.
Uterus. Bobert went on to say that the patient's went on to say the patient's move to sue him for refusing to supply the morning after pill surprised him. He also argued that medical professionals should not be forced to leave their deeply held beliefs in their back pockets on the job. We should be able to live out our beliefs in our workplace, he said. Pirro noted that although Bobert won the case, the plaintiff received $25,000 for emotional harm as well.
Though.
But that's a confusing feature of Minnesota trial practice, said the attorney. The jury is instructed that their job isn't done until the damages question is answered, regardless of how you answered the liability question. And then they went on to explain that although the plaintiff was awarded damages, they will not receive those damages after failing to prove their case.
Dumb thing to do.
And then this part makes me crazy. So then again, Bobert, they spent all their time talking to the fucking pharmacist, guys. None of this time talking to the woman who was denied medicine. I did everything I could in light of the facts, Badu said. And I went out of my way to phone the patient when there was a small possibility that the pharmacist who would be working the next day who would fill the prescription might not make it because of a snowstorm forecast.
Those things you need those things because it's like the day
timely,
after
dude.
pill. It's the
Super
day
timely.
after pill. And it's like, and I don't want to hear you're killing a baby or whatever. It's you can't even see it, man.
Right.
You literally can't even see it. If you saw like a discharge, you wouldn't be able to pick it out. It's it's smaller than the head of a pencil. You cannot see it at that point. It just stops the fertilization from it fertilizes, but it can't sit on the wall. It just flushes it off the wall. There's nothing there, man.
Nothing at all.
This isn't like, unless you believe like it's a fully fucking college-aged adult when it gets fucking conceived. It's absolutely maddening. And I want to say this. Here's what I'm going to do. This is my work plan from now until forever. I'm going to go in and I'm going to learn how to be a blood transfer guy. That's what I'm going to do. Transfusions. That's going to be my specialist. And I'm going to be a Jehovah's Witness. And then I'm going to sit at my fucking desk all day. And anybody who comes in will be like, sorry, I don't believe in transfusions.
Can't do it.
Because I'm a Jehovah's Witness. That's an abomination, and I'm going to play fucking Words with Friends and Angry Birds all day with my feet up because I don't have to do anything because I don't believe in it.
Yeah, man. It's fucking bullshit, and it's dangerous. And like Fox allows this motherfucker to downplay the danger by saying like, oh, well, I was going to set her up with a different pharmacist who would do it. Well, fucking what if there was no pharmacist in your fucking backwater hillbilly bullshit pharmacy? Yeah. What if there was nobody? Then what? She's just fucked? And the Minnesota says, yeah, she's just fucked. She gets nothing. She goes to the doctor. She wants medicine. She's supposed to get this fucking medicine. Her and her doctor make a fucking personal medical decision. The pharmacist, it's got nothing to do with you. Fill the fucking prescription. If your objection to the medicine is a personal fucking objection, that has nothing to do with anything. That'd be like if I was like, hey, you know what? I don't want to sell you Pringles. I think those are gross.
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
It's the same
Why are
thing.
you weird? Sell people shit.
It's the same thing.
Should I not sell cigarettes because they fucking kill people?
Like you don't get to make those decisions in anything else you do.
Right.
It seems like they're the only ones, and it's because religion is the only thing that we seem to look at and say, no, that trumps everything. It's like, no, your fucking beliefs don't trump everything. They just don't. Do another fucking job, man.
Right.
Like,
you picked the wrong job.
There's plenty of regulations for so many different jobs that are, for instance, and I don't know if this is true, but I guess I had heard that if you want to be a pilot, you have to have a good vision, right? You have to have, you can't wear glasses. Right. I've heard the same thing. I don't know if it's true, but I guess you can't wear glasses. From what I've heard, you can't wear glasses. I gotta be honest, I don't care.
Don't send an email.
But here's the thing, I'm using it as an explanation, as sort of like a metaphor. Just because you want to doesn't mean you can get into that profession, right? You just can't get into that profession if you just don't have good enough eyesight. Well, same thing here. It's like there should be something here that you get a questionnaire when you come in. This should be mandated by the state. You just have to give out those things. If you don't want to do it, then get out of the profession. Go do something else. Or they should start little fucking, those health insurance scam things they have. They should do the same thing for pharmacies. You want to be a religious fucking nutcase and you want to go fucking grab something from there, go to your weird fucking co-op religious pharmacy where they don't give away that stuff and you could feel good about yourself or whatever. They call that Walgreens, okay? So you can go to your fucking weird little co-op. Although it turns out CVS is doing the same thing.
Holy shit, you can't go fucking anywhere.
I thought I read that it said CVS. I got to ask people, where can we go? And I want to ask the pharmacist, anybody I'm thinking Target. If Target has a pharmacy, because they're a pretty progressive company.
The grocery stores too.
So I wonder if Target would do something like this. I wonder if Target, if somebody came in, if they would allow their pharmacist, I kind of want somebody to ask or figure out, what pharmacies can we promote as a place to go? Because it's fucking ridiculous.
It is, man. It is. And it's right now, it's limited. We talked about this before, but it's problematic, but what if the pharmacist had an objection, some personally held belief objection to pain management?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
What if their brother, legitimately, what if their fucking brother died of an opiate overdose? And they're like, you know what? I actually don't believe that opiates are a good medicine. I don't think we should prescribe them. I have a personally strongly held belief that, so now I got fucking cancer and I need fucking pain management, and I go and the pharmacist is like,
Sorry.
double fuck you.
Sorry.
I don't give those things
you.
out. That's between you and your doctor. The pharmacist is there to keep you safe.
Exactly.
Keep you safe giving out your medicines. They are not there to decide what your medical treatment should be. That's a fucking grotesque misstep.
It really is. I want to touch on something you talked about, though, really quickly. You said earlier, you're like, what if nobody's around, or what if there's another pharmacy around? I read an article this week that talked about pharmacy deserts are just as real as food deserts.
I don't doubt that for a second,
Especially
man.
in low-income neighborhoods and rural areas, pharmacy deserts are just as real. And what happens is you're stuck with your guy. This is your guy for miles, or for, in some cases in the inner city, for the entirety of how far you can go without spending money.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you're in poverty, you're in a place, you have to pay $275 to get on the train to go somewhere. That's an extra $275, plus maybe you got to pay a transfer to get back on. How much are you going to have to pay to just go get your medicine, whereas you could just walk down the street? Well, if the pharmacy isn't going to give you your stuff, or they have some weird, deeply held belief, are you going to be fucked? Or you just can't, sorry, you're fucked now. So this is a really insidious problem that someone needs to solve. There needs to be some sort of legislation that basically says, no, absolutely not.
Absolutely.
No more. You want to do this, start your own weird fucking culty fucking religious thing, but that's not a pharmacy. You call that what you want, and you guys give medicine to each other.
Yep.
Shoot it up each other's ass, whatever you want to do, but this isn't how pharmacies work anymore.
It should be part of your licensing.
Exactly.
It should be part of your your part of your licensing is like, look, you can't fucking turn people down for medicine unless there's a legitimate medical reason to turn them down, because that's not your fucking call.
Absolutely.
One risk-taking homosexual, please.
It's a pleasure doing business with you.
Wait, how did they know? I'm not even out at work yet.
Hey, I didn't know you were gay. And so adventurous.
This story comes from NBC News. Facebook turned over chat messages between mother and daughter, now charged over abortion. The company was served with a warrant for the messages, which experts worry could become common. So that's kind of the story here. Like the daughter was messaging mom about, her plans to have an abortion. She got an abortion using medication. So she got a medication abortion. The state that she's in has a law that says you can't have an abortion after, I think, 20 weeks.
It was 22.
Okay, 22 weeks.
No, it was after 20. She was 22.
Okay, yeah. So the state law was 20, and she was like at 22. So she...
Again, we don't know if that's true either.
Right. Yeah.
Because when we talked to Jessica, she's like, they just go by a number. They don't know.
Right. Yeah. This is... But the heart and soul of this story is that this kind of egregious, invasive privacy bullshit is now part of our life. That's what this ruling, that's what the Dobbs ruling did, right? Is it said you don't have a right to privacy.
Yeah.
So you're messaging your fucking mother and saying, hey, mom, I'm fucking thinking of making this fucking medical decision, and I want to talk about it with my mom. And now that fucking personal conversation with your fucking mom can be used against you.
It's crazy because, the right is all about privacy when it comes to Trump's place.
Fucking right, yeah.
Right? They're
Mar-a-Lago,
all
my
about privacy there, right? All about privacy. But when it comes to this, no, we should invade your privacy. We should invade your privacy. We should invade your privacy. And this is like you said, a personal medical decision. This, you're basically saying we want to force young teenagers to have children. We want more teen pregnancies.
Absolutely.
We want more teen pregnancies in America. That's what we want.
Yep.
And,
we want more people to have kids they don't want to have.
Do you know anybody who had like kids as an early teen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I knew, so there was a girl in my high school, really bright girl. And she had a kid while she was in high school. Like she literally had a kid. Like she was pregnant in high school, had a kid in high school. I don't think she ever went on to get a degree or anything like that. She just became a mom, but she was like a really bright girl. I remember, knowing her and being on her, she was in my friend's circle. She wasn't a close friend, but she was in my friend's circle. She was always very sweet, but she got pregnant in high school. if we make it harder for women to get abortions, and especially for young kids at this point, young kids to get abortions, you're going to see more and more and more. It's going to be brain drain on women. It's going to be brain drain because they're the ones who bear the responsibility for this. And very often it's not about, this fight of you're killing a baby or whatever. No. Very often the decision is made, and we're talking way often, when 90% of the time it's made before it's really even a thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is like and we've talked about this before, but I mean, the Ohio case is a terrific example. Here you have, it is not a bug in the system. It is a feature. It is intentional that the system is intended to turn people into mothers against their will.
You're right.
That is exactly so. And it doesn't matter to the right whether those people in question are 10 years old or 40 years old. They do not give a shit. What they want is more women to be burdened with children. And they don't want, the men aren't burdened. They want more women to be burdened with children that they do not want. There's nothing else. There's no other way to read that conversation. These are, in every case where somebody seeks an abortion, that is a woman who wants an abortion. That means a woman who does not want to have that child.
Yeah.
In every case, that's literally, so the state is intervening and saying, no, fuck that. No. That is not your call. Yeah. Your body you do not have autonomy over your own body. And like the intent of that, I think, is to pull women out of competition with men. I know I've come to that, but I just cannot understand how it could be anything else. I cannot.
And it's not just a war on women. We talked about it early when this happened, but it's a class war too.
Oh, fucking right it is. Yep.
This is something that way more often people that are living in poverty are going to have children that they didn't want because they can't make it that 800 miles across the state line or whatever it is, 2 state lines, 3 state lines, 4 state lines they've got to go across. They can't just travel on a whim for work.
Right.
To just up and leave for a couple days. They can't do it. Their jobs don't allow it. They don't have the funds. They don't have the resources.
They don't have the childcare, the family support.
When you are somebody who's fucking is wealthy, or even if you're just middle class, this is burdensome and it's annoying, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, right.
But when you're somebody who has no means, it is sentencing you to have a child because you had sex.
Yep. Yeah. The entirety of the burden of responsibility from a sexual act is borne only by one partner in that sexual activity. It is a grotesquerie. It just is. I think back, and I know this is like a weird analogy, but I remember when I was like 21, 22, and I was broke as fuck, and I had my first apartment, and like I had this car, and the alternator went out on the car. And I got the alternator fixed. They put a bad alternator in it. They put like a not OEM alternator in it, and it failed again a second time, and they wouldn't cover it. It was like kind of a shady shop, and like got towed to the same shop. And I was like, hey, I was just here like 2 weeks ago. And they're like, bad parts is bad parts. And I'm like 22, I don't know anything. And my car just sat in their lot. And I didn't have the money to get my car back from, it was like $400. And so I was like, well, fuck. And for months, I was down to one, we were down to one car. For months, I did not have access to my car until I could scrape together the $400 or $500. It's very easy for many, many people to look at an expense of just a few $100s, and that few $100s can take you months or longer if you can even get it. Look at like Modest Needs. Modest Needs, their entire business model as a charity is built around giving away about $700 to pull people from the brink of poverty. And you look at that and you say, man, we are going to make it that much harder for this specific class of women to have access to their own bodily autonomy. That is what we are going to do with this. And like, we're going to invade your Facebook messages.
And it's going to, the other problem too is it's going to now having a kid isn't cheap.
No.
And you're already in poverty.
Yep.
So now what?
Yep.
You'll never ever climb out. It's going to be hard. It's exponentially harder the more children you have.
Yep.
And you're basically forcing those people to have kids in a forced birth scenario when they could, and way more often, we're talking way more often than not, it would have been nothing but a day after pill or something.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's you can have a medical just a pill abortion up to 12 weeks.
Yeah,
up to 12 weeks. But like in these states where they have restricted access to abortion, and then in this case of this story here, where they're logging into your fucking or subpoenaing your fucking private messages between you and your parent. We're living in a different world than we had before, right? So we're living in a world where a lot of our communication is not verbal. It's not just if I had a conversation just verbally with my dad would just lie about it, right? He could just be like, I didn't talk to Tom about that. I just didn't talk to Tom about that. But now so much of our communication is written. There's a record of so much of it. And we're going to get into this fucking spy versus spy espionage level shit where it's like, oh, fuck, I'm going to talk about, an abortion. I better not fucking text message it. I better not fucking Messenger or Signal or Telegram or Instagram or fucking whatever. Because all that shit could be subpoenaed. All the regular normal ways that humans now communicate with one another. All that shit you got to put on the back burner. Whoa. People are going to get fucking burner phones to get abortions, man.
Yeah, man. The way I guess to prevent this from happening is anything that you don't want to keep, you have to do there's a private setting on Facebook Messenger that basically makes it so it deletes it after you read it or whatever.
Oh, really? Okay.
So there is a way to do it. I'm not quite sure. You can look it up, but there is a way. It's so you can cheat on your spouse. I mean, let's be honest. That's what it's for. It's made for that. But it's really you can delete it.
I can't believe this.
But there is a way to do it. So, I don't think you should throw it away because it is end-to-end encrypted. Supposedly they can't read it, but they can give it to them.
Right.
Right. And so you can take
So does Facebook itself delete it?
I think, I don't know that.
Because I wonder if they would still comply with the subpoena. They did mention it in this article.
Yeah, they did mention it in this article. They mentioned that it can be lost or can be pulled out if you delete it or whatever. But delete it in this special way, which is make this a secret or whatever. And it just goes away, supposedly. But I don't think it ever goes away. I don't think anything ever goes away.
Right.
So that'll be really interesting to see when that comes up, right? If Facebook is like, yeah, we said that, but we really didn't mean it.
Yeah.
And who knows?
Right. I wonder... I am always dubious of the idea that anything that's typed out isn't forever.
Yeah.
And my thought is God damn, we're going to be at a place where we're going to have to you're going to have to kick it old school if you're talking about.
Yeah, you're going to have to smoke signal something.
Right.
Yeah.
You're gonna or pick up the phone and actually have a conversation. You're going to have voice only conversation because there's no
carrier pigeon is the way.
Fucking A, right?
Carrier pigeon.
It started though. It started.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He's a life changer, miracle arranger, born to the virgin mom in a manger. Water to wine, he's a drink exchanger, and he died for your sins.
This story comes from pinknews.co.uk.
I fear these people enjoying it with us on
the picture?
On the video. The picture is just so good.
This is so a terrific stop.
It's so good. Somebody went through their live photo on iPhone and was just like, oh, no. This is the one. This is the one. Lauren Boebert looks hilarious in this. She looks unbelievably surprised. And it's outstanding. She always looks a little befuddled.
Yeah. Yeah. Republican Lauren Boebert says she wants biblical citizenship training in public schools. So I read this. So her comments.
We can play it maybe, Tom. Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
We could just play it. Let's play it.
Maybe we need to have some sort of legislation that requires Constitution alive and biblical citizenship training in our schools. And that's how we get things turned around. But there has to be real leadership from the Republicans, especially now.
Biblical citizenship training. Cecil.
What the fuck does that even mean?
I have no idea what that means. Neither does Lauren. Let me be clear.
You're right.
Neither does Lauren Boebert.
This is all, they are playing provocateur.
Yes.
And they know that that there has been a base. Basically, Trump was the churn, right? Trump churned up all these fucking people who've never been involved in politics ever.
Yeah.
And he tuned them up to be like, look at who you can hurt just by following me. look at what I'll do for you. I will hurt people, and you liking me will also hurt people.
Yes, right.
And this is a good thing for everybody. And they glommed onto it. They were like, no, this is perfect. I want people to feel bad. So I will do what I can because I don't give a fuck if you fuck things up. As long as I get to hurt people along the way, it's good. And so they all recognized, I think every one of these people recognized that they can pluck from this group of absolute schmucks and tune them up as much as possible by saying the most outrageous shit they possibly can think of. And it plays to their base. Yeah, man. Because their base is literally muck that somebody dragged up in the last election cycle.
This is bottom feeder Republican deepity bullshit.
Yes.
It doesn't mean it.
You're right.
What is biblical citizenship training mean?
Yeah.
She doesn't know.
Yeah.
These are just 3 words that she likes. And she shit them together. Yeah. What the fuck is biblical citizenship? It doesn't even, that literally, am I going to become a citizen of the Bible? What does that mean?
It doesn't mean anything.
This is also a human being who is so deeply uneducated on literally every meaningful topic you can be educated on, who is advocating for more education. I would take a fucking biblical literacy test side by side and head to head with Lauren Boebert.
In a second.
I would say, and I am not by any stretch a biblical scholar.
I do it with any Republican.
I would do it right now, and I would fucking slam dunk that shit.
I do it with any Republican.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I would do the same thing with naming parts of the women's reproductive system.
Yes.
Because you know they don't know what the fuck's going on.
They have no idea.
They don't know.
idea.
They're like, no, man, if there's a rape, your body knows how to shoot that thing out like a cannon or whatever. These people, they say the most outrageous shit.
Insane shit.
Where you're just like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
How did you have kids? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Like, did you just... Like, did she have a cup and stand across the room? And did you play like a fucking, like, did you shoot a 3-pointer? What happened? What happened for you to even fuck to have children? You don't know that much. You don't even know that much.
No, man, this is...
And Ben Shapiro being like, I think a wet pussy's a disease.
That doesn't, my wife says that doesn't happen.
My wife doesn't have a wet pussy.
She's never said anything about this.
There is no such thing as a wet pussy. I think that's a myth. It's like a clitoris.
Look, all I know is whenever I'm horny, she's got a headache. So I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't even know how any of you all have sex. No, but seriously, like these people say the fucking quiet part out loud, and you're just like,
all the time.
You don't, but 100%. I will take any test. I don't care what it is. Like the fucking LSAT, I'll probably beat them.
I cannot imagine a world where Lauren Boebert is advocating for some kind of testing she can't fail. I cannot imagine it. She would fail any test. I actually think she could write the test.
Yeah.
And write the answers. You could spin her around blindfolded 3 times and she would fail that test. I'm not sure she knows where she's at most of the time.
It's so bad. I'm so embarrassed because Colorado is a very populous state now.
Fucking A, man.
And this district has so many people. I mean, I can't believe there's that many people in her district
that are
saying her.
Yeah.
Unless it's to just tune other people up and you don't care about it. Because she's not there for you. She's not doing anything for you if she's on a TV show talking about this garbage.
And that's the thing too, is like none of these fucking right-wing provocateur, liar, bottom feeder bullshit troglodytes, they don't actually introduce and advance any legislation.
Yeah.
MTG and Lauren Boebert, Matt Gaetz and fucking Josh Hawley. None of these, I would have said Cawthorn, but he got fired. Like none of these fucking people actually do their job. They don't do any work. What they are is fucking noisemakers.
You're right.
They are fucking New Year's Eve fucking noisemakers.
Spin them around and they make a cranking
That's
sound.
it. That's it. They have no fucking purpose.
You're right. So that's going to wrap it up for this week on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. You can find the link to Dear Old Dads in the description. So check that out. Thank you to Eli and to Thomas Smith for joining us. And for Tom. Tom, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining me.
Wait.
Here.
Okay.
Having me on the show.
On your own show. Twice. Double the shows. You can check Tom out, though, on Dear Old Dads. He's the best part. The other guys are idiots.
It's true.
Worth listening to. They probably, their opinions are terrible. Tom is the only one to listen to, so go listen to it. Check it out. Also, want to mention, Come check me out. Now, this is next Friday it starts. So
It's
next
gonna be
Friday the 19th, I'm going to be doing Path of Exile Twitch streaming for a couple hours a day for several days in a row. So it's going to be starting on Friday and it's going to go all the way through the weekend, through the following week up until I think maybe the next Friday or Saturday, and I'm going to stop because I only have a week off of work, so I can't do it all forever. But it's going to be probably during the day. I will post on Twitch. So you go to twitch.tv/dissonancepod. You can follow us now. And then when I go live, you'll get a notification, or you can just check it out. I'm going to put the schedule there. I will decide on a schedule before I start. I will decide on a schedule and I will stick to that schedule. And I'll be streaming every day. And here's the conceit. Here's the plan. I'm going to take my hair down and I'm going to play as Jesus, who finally gets to play violent video games. And it's going to be fun. So it's going to be blasphemous. It's going to be goofy. Come show up. I'll talk to you for a little while. We could have conversations about who I should send to hell or something like that. It'll be a lot of fun. So it'll be a good time. Come hang out with me. I'm just going to be playing games for several hours in a row. But I will be responding to chat. I have a system all set up. I've already sort of tested it. So I will be able to see chat throughout the entire thing and be able to talk to you while I'm playing. And this is one of those games where I don't have to spend an immense amount of attention playing the game. I can actually look at chat pretty regularly and just respond. So if you want to come hang out and chat, go check me out. I'll be streaming, like I say, several hours a day starting on the 19th. I think that's going to wrap it up for this week. We're going to leave you like we always do with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, watered downward spiral, brain deadpan sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death in towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards, vaccine nuts, shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
The opinions and information provided on this podcast are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of Glory Hole Studios, LLC. Cognitive Dissonance makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, currentness, suitability, or validity of any information, and will not be liable for any errors, damages, or butthurt arising from consumption. All information is provided on an as-is basis. No refunds. Produced in association with the local Dairy Council and viewers like you.